Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Make sure you subscribe because a major development in the Lynette Hooker investigation is about to shatter everything you thought you knew about this case. Throw out Brian Hooker's original story
of his wife falling from a helpless, drifting dinghy.
A shocking new update from federal agents has completely dismantled his entire alibi. The Coast Guard recently intercepted Brian's vessel at sea and extracted critical digital data from his green smartwatch. The chilling truth: GPS logs prove his boat was never actually drifting in that storm. It was being actively steered, making tight circles over two incredibly deep ocean trenches. Detectives suspect he was dumping a heavy object straight to the seafloor. While federal agents have gathered DNA from Lynette's family, preparing to identify her remains as soon as divers locate them. Stay with us for every moment of this investigation, because this new evidence reveals exactly how the trap finally closes on Brian Hooker. Let us examine the raw evidence. Where this digital tracking trail ends, a darker nightmare truly begins. When the Coast Guard Investigative Service pulled the data from Brian Hooker's green smartwatch, they were not just seeing random numbers. They had uncovered a digital map marking a suspected ocean crime scene. Brian repeatedly insisted to the Hopetown volunteer fire and rescue teams that his dinghy lost all power when the ignition key fell overboard with his wife. He claimed he was completely at the mercy of the wind, drifting aimlessly through the pitch-black Abaco Sea for more than 8 agonizing hours, before finally washing ashore at Marsh Harbor. But federal investigators uncovered data that totally destroys his grieving husband persona. The GPS tracker proves the vessel was steered with clear intent under steady engine power. It was not just drifting. The boat traveled straight to 2 isolated coordinates where the ocean floor drops off into deep water. Upon reaching those precise spots, the vessel did not just float past. Instead, the digital logs show it circling tightly in place, spinning repeatedly, as if someone had deliberately dropped anchor to keep the boat steady against the heavy storm. This revelation steers the entire investigation in a dark, ominous direction. Why would a man who claimed his engine was dead, and who was supposedly searching for his missing wife, stop to circle in the deepest ocean waters? Investigators quickly woke up to a chilling reality. Brian was not drifting. He was executing a calculated plot. He spent critical hours at those precise offshore coordinates in the dark, hovering directly over the deepest underwater drop-offs. But this is where the investigation takes a dramatic turn, presenting detectives with a deeply troubling question. If Brian's vessel was actively powered and steering through the night, how did he end up hitting the beaches of Marsh Harbor not just once, but twice on that same morning? This double beaching at Marsh Harbor marks the very moment Brian Hooker's timeline completely disintegrates into a web of impossible lies. He assured local police officers and the frantic search volunteers that he merely drifted aimlessly through the dark waters, making landfall at a single spot where he managed to scramble ashore. But federal detectives tracking his digital footprint uncovered a deeply unsettling pattern. His small boat actually made landfall at 2 separate spots hours apart that Easter Sunday morning. If you are really a lost sailor with a dead engine, drifting helplessly at the mercy of rough seas and shifting ocean tides, hitting 2 distinct shorelines is simply a physical impossibility. This proves Brian was actually steering that vessel, steering to a hidden initial spot before heading to a second, easier location just to stage his dramatic rescue story. Local search and rescue teams who know the treacherous terrain of Marsh Harbor insist there is no way any person could crawl through that dense, muddy swamp from his supposed landing point to the residential doorsteps where he begged for help. So, how exactly did he cross that deadly marsh? Detectives have developed a chilling theory that alters everything. They suspect Brian plotted a deceptive path using a green flotation device. He sent that green float drifting across the water to sea. precisely where the tide would carry it, mapping the course with his specialized Garmin marine watch.
Then, using a quiet, concealed electric motor on his boat, he followed the identical path.
He docked at the first location,
Walked straight into the residential neighborhood, hunting for outdoor trash cans to permanently dispose of.
Lynette's waterproof bag filled with her passports and the extra keys.
Yet the most devastating piece of physical proof
Is not what Brian discarded in those garbage bins. It is what federal investigators noticed was completely missing from his luxury yacht when they searched it. When federal agents officially seized Brian Hooker's luxury sailboat, the Soulmate, they immediately transformed the vessel into a secured, active crime scene.
Yellow police tape cordoned off the entire deck,
as forensic teams began hauling away box after box of labeled evidence.
But what was absent from the ship is what sent massive shockwaves through the case. Online sleuths who have followed this dark mystery from day one know that specific heavy boat gear is completely missing from the vessel. Specifically, a heavy extra outboard motor that Brian had recently replaced but stored on board, together with Lynette's own scuba diving equipment. Lynette was a seasoned diver, always using a bright custom pink buoyancy vest and a matching pink lead weight belt. This heavy gear is engineered specifically to pull a diver deep underwater. Detectives realized that both the heavy backup motor
and Lynette's pink lead weights had vanished from the sailboat.
The grim theory circulating among detectives is that these heavy items did not fall overboard by chance.
Federal investigators suspect Brian used the heavy backup motor and those heavy diving weights to deliberately sink Lynette's body to the seabed at the precise coordinates where his watch showed him circling. This completely dismantles his original claim that she merely slipped and tumbled off the rear of the small boat.
People do not accidentally fall overboard while strapped to heavy lead weights and holding a spare boat motor.
This alarming inventory mismatch is exactly why the United States government has officially stepped in to take full charge of this case. Island authorities are now cooperating fully with the search, allowing United States federal dive teams to plunge straight into the dark sea of Abaco. But as these specialized underwater search teams prepare to dive at those precise coordinates, a critical piece of breaking news proves the noose is tightening around Brian. The final trap is snapping shut, and the most heart-wrenching moment of this entire investigation just occurred behind closed doors. Federal agents recently sat down with Lynette's grieving mother, father, and daughter to officially collect their DNA samples. This is no routine legal procedure. Detectives are collecting this genetic information for one dark, specific reason. They are preparing to make a positive identification the very second. Federal dive teams pull Lynette's body from the exact coordinates tracked on that green smartwatch. Brian Hooker believed he was clever enough to outrun the law. He actively flaunted his big white watch to the public, totally blind to how his green smartwatch was acting as a digital black box, tracking his every move. The Coast Guard Investigative Service and mobile networks have totally shattered his timeline. Now, with the family's DNA ready, the final forensic puzzle is complete. Tick-tock, Brian. The noose is tight, the evidence is airtight, and handcuffs are coming next.